The Oilers win game one, and maybe that's a good omen for this season. Take a look at this. The last four Stanley Cup finals, whoever wins game one goes on to win the Stanley Cup. We'll see if that holds true for the fifth consecutive year. Rupper, you don't always have to score goals or points to have an impact or have your fingerprints on a game. Evander Kane, you were talking throughout this game how impressed you were with his game in game number one. What did you see out there?
In the offensive zone, he was the aggressor, and he went to the net. We knew he was going to do that, and we thought and we spoke about how maybe that could have been a difference in the last year's finals if he was not hurt and played in all the games. But he was getting in there on the forecheck, creating some havoc. He can hit hard. He's a tough individual. We've seen it his entire career, but right there, just going to the net and creating chaos on both of these plays. I'm not sure either of these goals, Boiler, happened without 91 going to the cage.
There's no way they happen, and he brings an element that they were lacking last year in the Cup Finals. He's a straight-ahead player. He's physical. He can shoot. He creates offense. You know, there's parts of his game that might be lacking, but this team's better than the sum of their parts, especially this season. It's different than last year.
Selfless too. Now, he's a guy who scored a lot of goals in his career, and at times you have to go and be a bit of a decoy. You got to go barrel into all the defensemen, leave the guy behind you open. You're not going to get credit for the goal, but your teammates will know the sacrifice you made. 9 hits recorded by Evander Kane, by far the most on the Edmonton Oilers. So he came into the game with the intention to be physical, to drive the play. We saw him go after Ekblad how many times? We saw him go after Barkov anytime he could, and then all the stuff he was doing in front of that resulted in goals. Fantastic contribution to their success in this game.
We know Marchand, we know Tkachuk, we know what the Florida Panthers trying to do. Is Evander Kane the Oilers version of those guys on their team?
Yeah, he's an agitator. He'll back it up too. He's a tough player, and I think it's worth repeating. He didn't play last year. He wasn't able to play healthy, barely played at all. He's a difference maker in this kind of series against this kind of team. He could be a difference maker. Because
he could do different things. And your point is he was a 30-goal man in this league. He's usually the guy that's getting those shots, and other people are paving the way for him, but he'll do whatever. And if you give him an opportunity to shoot the puck, he can bury it. I mean, he's still got that in his game, but I think this is just a tip of the iceberg with what we're going to see from Evander Kane in this series, because now he's gotten a taste of it, the Stanley Cup Finals, and some success here. Because remember, those games he played, they did not win. Right. They did not look good. He's got that now. It worked. I think he doubles down. He's a pain in the rear end the rest of the way.
Matthew Tkachuk plays a certain way. He would do it on any team. Brad Marchand, the same thing. He'd play a certain way on any team. Evander Kane would play a certain way on any team. It's the ability those guys have to bring others into that fight with them. Edmonton didn't quite have that last year because he wasn't there. It was a missing piece. This year, I saw Edmonton initiate more. I saw Leon go after Barkov first. It wasn't retaliatory. It wasn't a push-back sort of thing. It's an identity that can be contagious, that Edmonton is going to need a certain amount of. Not saying try to beat Florida. They're going to need a certain amount of that to push back against Florida so they can get to the things that make them really good.
I know that fighting isn't much of the Stanley Cup playoffs and finals, and it doesn't need to be. But there's something to be said when you sit there and you look across, and Evander Kane can say this, nobody on that team is tougher than me. And I can lean into that. I can be a bully out there in a bunch of different ways, and nobody is gonna do a thing. He knows that, and I think he's bringing it.
Especially when Florida prides themselves on getting into scrums, getting the last shot. Some of their defense would like to push and shove, and he's a guy who will step back and say, okay, let's go here. If you like, let's take this all the way, and that might back off some of their mojo as well. So, important player.
Talk the talk, walk the walk, and the Oilers getting it done in game one, 4-3 in overtime.